In the heart of a small village, there stood an old clockmaker's shop, where time seemed to dance in perfect harmony. Inside, clocks of every kind ticked in unison, each crafted by the skilled hands of an elderly master and his young apprentice, Arlo. Arlo spent his days learning the delicate art of clockmaking. His master's most important lesson was one of patience and precision. For time itself was a delicate force, and even the smallest mistake could throw it off balance. But there was one clock Arlo was never allowed to touch. It sat high on the wall, a grand clock, unlike any other, with gears of gold and runes that glowed faintly in the dim light of the workshop. His master called it the heart of time, and warned him that it controlled the very flow of time itself. If this clock were ever to stop, his master said, time would freeze, and the world as we know it could be thrown into chaos. One fateful night, as Arlo cleaned the workshop alone, something strange began to happen. The rhythmic ticking of the clocks around him grew uneven, slower, until suddenly a loud clank echoed through the room. Arlo looked up in horror. The grand clock, the heart of time, had stopped. The world outside the shop fell silent. People were frozen mid-step in the streets, birds hung motionless in the sky, and even the wind itself seemed to have paused. Time had come to a halt. Panicked, Arlo rushed to the clock, desperate to fix it. But how? He'd never worked on this clock before, and his master's warning echoed in his mind. As he stood there, unsure of what to do, a strange voice filled the room, soft, ancient, and full of mystery. Find the missing gear, deep within the well of time. Only then can the heart beat again, the voice whispered. With no other choice, Arlo grabbed his tools and set off into the night, determined to save time itself. He followed the voice's guidance through the frozen village and into the dark forest beyond. There, hidden among the trees, he found it. The well of time. Glowing faintly in the moonlight, it pulsed with a strange energy. Arlo climbed down into the well, where he found a small glowing gear unlike anything he had ever seen. It was warm to the touch, humming with power. Clutching the gear tightly, Arlo raced back to the shop. He returned to the heart of time and carefully opened its delicate inner workings. His hands trembled as he placed the glowing gear into the clock. For a moment, nothing happened. Arlo held his breath, his heart pounding. Then, tick, a single tick echoed through the workshop, followed by another and another. The heart of time slowly began to beat once more, its gears whirring to life. The clocks around the shop fell back into their perfect rhythm, and outside, the world began to move again. Exhausted, Arlo slumped into a chair, watching as the clock turned steadily, restoring time to its rightful flow. The next morning, his master found him asleep by the grand clock, a look of pride on the old man's face. "You've done it, Arlo," the clockmaker said softly. "You've proven yourself worthy of this shop and of time itself." And so time moved forward once again, guided by the hands of a young apprentice who had saved it, one tick at a time. And from that day on, Arlo understood that time was not just something to be measured, but a force to be respected, protected, and cherished. Please like and subscribe for support.